This week on Lead One, why wait?
Welcome to the Lead One podcast, where our mission is to lead leaders through leadership. The goal is to get 1% better every day. Let's see what Drew and the guys have to say.
All right, guys, welcome back. I got the crew with us this morning. We're finally all back together.
Welcome back, guys.
Yeah. Thanks to Brandon and France for holding the fort down while me and Sam Buck were gone.
Yeah, it was out.
So this week's episode, I feel like maybe I'm on a little bit of a rant.
Go for it.
Just because this time of year, everybody that you talk to wants to put everything off till after the holidays. And I feel like it's because we're ingrained oftentimes from a child. You hear that quote, everybody's heard it over and over, good things come to those who wait. Well, I disagree. Good things come to those who hustle, right? And if we fall into that trap of, obviously we're recording, this is Wednesday before Thanksgiving for us, and you'll hear this Monday after Thanksgiving, but you've got 5 weeks between now and the end of the year. So if you slack off and put everything off till after the holidays, you've lost 10% of your year and all the momentum that you could have coming into January 1. Regardless, I mean, whether it's in your career, whether it's working out, I mean, you put off your workout regimen till January 1, you're just way heavier and more out of shape than you would be had you started today. At least, you start now, maybe you stay even keel through all this holiday food you're about to eat, right? So I get frustrated as people put off decisions because, no, don't get me wrong, I think there's some decisions that do require some time level of thought. But the reality is, do we make better decisions by putting things off for especially that period of time of something like the holiday season?
Well, I'll start. No. The answer is no. You don't get anything out of. So even like what you just said, you said some things require a little bit more thought, right? But that thought is an action toward the goal. You feel what I'm saying? Like, yeah. If something requires a little bit more thought and planning, then obviously that means you've acted toward the goal. I think where it comes in is when we halt the action till after something else, because time is the one thing that we can't get back. We cannot get it back. You can get money back. You can get back a lot of material things that we feel like we lose. You can get back, team members that you lost. You can replace them. You can be replaced, but you can't get back time. Time is one of the most precious things that we have, and unfortunately, we don't value it the same way that we value some of the things that we can't replace. That's my biggest thing about why wait. Like, what am I waiting for? You know what I'm saying? And we talk about all the time failing forward. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we don't act on something because we want to be prepared or want to have everything all together. And the reality is, a lot of times you get it together by going through the act of something. If you don't know why you're doing something, you're not going to ever do it. And when you do it, it's not going to be sustainable because you don't have a why. Period. I guess I'm ranting.
I guess, the way I look at things is I look at things with blinders on, and I zero in on my target, and I'm not letting up until I get to what it is that I need to get to, whether it be that weekly goal, that monthly goal, that yearly goal, whatever that goal is that I have personally in my head. I'm not comfortable until I get to that point. So, yes, holidays are a distraction. They're also good. You get time to spend time with your family and things like that. So you don't want to seem like, we're robots over here. But there is a balance, that work-life balance. And like you were saying, Drew, letting up just because it's the holidays, obviously that will deter you from getting to your end goal, especially when, basically the holidays start this week and they run through
for the next 5.
For the next 5, right. So you can take this time to slack off like you said, or really put your foot down. And putting your foot down right now is even more detrimental because this is basically fourth quarter. It's the fourth quarter blitz.
Yeah.
It's now or never.
Are we talking about like work, or like what are we talking about?
Well, I think it could be a number of things. I mean, obviously, we're approaching that time of year where everybody's going to set a New Year's, or multiple New Year's resolutions, and then before January's even over, they're going to break every single one of them. Mm-hmm. But I think that's where, we're at that time of year where it's so close that it's almost within reaching distance, and that's where people are like, well, 2022 is going to be the year I get in shape. So, man, come January 1, I'm about to get it. So it's like, well, what are you doing between now and then? And then I also think we're in that season of, I mean, come on, this time of year is different for everybody. Whether it's for some of you, if you're in a major medical open enrollment, you're slammed right now, right? This is your busy season. But for other people, I met a guy in the airport last week that sells technology or software that does like highlight reels for sports videos and stuff. Works mostly with high schools and colleges. I can imagine that these next 5 weeks are probably an incredibly slow time for him because school's not even in session. But but there's still things that you can do to put yourself in a position to win between starting the year versus kicking your feet up. And I think we're just in that time of year where, from a professional sense, you hear that term burnout a lot. And I think that that's where some of my frustration comes from, because people think that, the holidays and the time off and the time with my family, that's going to get me where I need to be come January 1. And I'll argue with you as long as you want to argue that that's not the case. Because if you're feeling burnout right now, it's not because of your job. It's because how you're living your life.
There's no balance already.
Yeah, exactly. And so taking Thursday and Friday to eat a whole bunch of turkey and spend time with your family, come Monday morning at 11 o'clock, you're going to have the same feeling that you have right now. And that same thing's going to happen come January 1, or what is it? First falls on a Saturday this year. So January 3rd, by 10 o'clock that morning, you're going to have the same feeling that you had. So that time off is probably, everybody needs a little reset. I'm not arguing that. But if you have that burnout feeling now, a little time off is not going to change that. It's about how you're living.
You got to dig deeper. You got to dig deeper, and you got to grind, because the Bills are still the Bills, right? And whatever hole you are in, that hole is not going to change just because it's the holidays. So
no, it gets deeper.
It gets deeper, right? Yeah. So it's still there waiting for you. Whatever that problem was or that issue was, it's still there waiting for you. You may not want to address it, but it's there.
Well, not even just the holes, the success. So imagine you being very successful and then get to the holidays, and then all of a sudden you say, well, it's the holidays, I'm gonna kick it back up in January, right? Oh, that's the worst way to look at it. You know what I mean? I always looked at it, Brandon, you know this too. I keep referring, but in music also, around after Thanksgiving, everything's dead. Everything's dead. But the people who usually win are the people who are working through the holiday.
Yeah, and that's the thing is most of the time you're not seeing that work.
You're not seeing
They're
it.
in the studio, it's behind a closed door.
Yeah, they're just setting up that first quarter.
Right,
Yep.
You don't realize what's about to drop coming from the work, and that's where people that aren't doing that, get blindsided. And I think we're this time of year, we talked about this a couple episodes ago about social media and, of course, how everybody's influenced by how everybody else is living. But I think that's the problem is you've got some people that, they get 4 weeks paid vacation and they didn't take but one all year. So they take 3 weeks in December off because they're going to lose that time if they don't. Okay. Or you grew up and your parents work for the government and everybody, basically does the bare minimum to get by and their pay stays the same between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Or your mom's a school teacher and they're off for the month of December anyway. And so I think sometimes we become like indoctrinated with because of the fact that everybody else, depending on their situation, has this time, we should take this time too. And maybe you should. Maybe you killed it this year, and you have earned the time and deserve it. The problem I have is when you didn't.
Yeah.
But you still feel entitled to it, right?
But you know what? The crazy part is those people who have earned their time normally don't want to take it because they're in the process. They have a routine like we've been talking about.
Definitely.
Usually, I think that lack of balance becomes from, like we've talked about in previous episodes. If you haven't listened, please rewind, go back. Is that we talked about routine. we talked about we've talked about having times that you know what you're going to do, your go times, your no times, your slow times. And I think those people who continue to work through the holiday have established that through the year, and they're not going to break their routine because they've had. I mean, technically, if you think about the holiday, there are really what there's Thanksgiving Day,
Andrea's birthday.
Most important.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Andrew.
Happy birthday. So we got Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's Eve. So out of that 5-week period, what's that, 6 days? 5-6 days? That's a lot of other days in there, bro.
Right.
The problem is it's spread out, right? And yes, Christmas is one day, but to most people, Christmas is typically 3-4 days.
It's probably like if you have children, that's a week.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
For
right.
Thanksgiving, that's a week for 2 weeks almost
Look,
for Christmas.
It might
and
be
New
as soon as the
Year's.
tree goes up.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
So,
school
Well,
lets
you
out.
know, and to quote the great Jim Flanders, who joined us a couple weeks ago, is he always says the problem with vacations is everybody starts getting in vacation mode the week before the vacation.
Yeah.
Then they go on vacation. Then they spend the week after vacation recovering from the. So that 1 week cost you 3 weeks of productivity.
Yeah.
And so same point with Christmas. Yeah, it's one day, but you drank too much, you ate too much. It cost you a whole lot more than that. What's the saying that they say? How many times you have to do something before it becomes a habit?
I think it was 21 days.
It's 21 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, to Sam, to your point of why people who are disciplined, regimented, successful aren't going to allow the 5 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas to completely throw them off is like they've developed these habits in this routine, and to take to 5 weeks would completely destroy all of the work and effort that's put those things in place.
When you think about like New Year's resolutions and stuff like that, especially with like working out, I feel like a lot of people are, they have that fear they're going to fail anyway. So they're trying to put it off to this certain time to start their routine or whatever. I know sometimes I do that. Like I miss a few days in the week of working out. Then I'm like, all right, Monday I'll get back on it. But you like I already had that feeling that I fell for the week, and then I just need to restart.
It's funny you say that because for me, a little bit of what you just said, I kind of, my credo, my own self credo, what I live by is, that fear of failure. That fear of failure is what motivates me to be successful.
Yeah.
And it may not be necessarily in working out, but I look at it just in business. I have a newborn child at home, a 6-month-old. So obviously the missus is home with the baby. So I am the contingency plan. I am the fallback. So every day I come in here afraid that I'm going to fail. So it drives me even more to make sure that I hit my goals and hit my targets and do what I need to do. So
That's because you know your why, bro. That's what we're going back to. You got to know your why.
yeah, and with that, back to you, Drew. The holidays can't stop me from my failure, my fear of failure. So I have to continue on, holidays or no holidays. And you know what? When I look up in a couple months, and you know what, I'll take Christmas in April. I'll take that vacation or that week off in April or January or February.
But what about things that aren't, work? You know what I'm saying? Things that will, if I add this, it'll ultimately make me a better person. Like if I add this workout, it'll ultimately make me a better person. If I add, reading a book a month or whatever it is, adding to what you're already deeming so important to your family. How do you get to start that? You know what I mean? What if that was one of the things of your New Year's resolution? It's not like your main thing, but it's something that you want to add to make you better.
Right.
Change.
So
Adding change.
to that point, Brandon, I mean, that's my whole argument is what is so special about January 1st? Like, why wait until then? If you feel like a workout routine is going to make you a better person, why would you lose? I mean, you may not even be here on January 1.
Exactly. That's my
facts.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't know. You may not be here tomorrow. So why would you wait till January 1st to decide, and
Well, I always say it's generally
Peloton's not paying me to say that either. I'm
At
just,
all.
just so you know.
You got a
It'd be
Peloton
nice.
at the house?
Hello.
I got the app. Nah. Chris has got the treadmill and the bike, though, so I just go to his place.
Oh, yeah,
man.
that's clutch. But no, I really think it's a reason that things kind of infiltrate your mind when they do. Like, it's a reason. Like, you ever had somebody say, "Man, I don't know why I haven't heard from such and such in such a long time. I should call them." And you said, "Well, I'll call them next week."
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a name for that? What do you call that?
Procrastination?
No. Just the reason that something has entered your mind.
Well, in the back in where I'm from, they call it the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
The Spirit is
that's what I
talking.
figured. Yeah.
Something is telling you to do something is a reason.
Right.
Like
Especially when it occurs like multiple times.
yeah.
I think what is it? They say there's like power in threes or something.
And you don't do it, man. It's something in that. Like, if something told you today, you know what, you should start working out more. You're like, you know what, I'm gonna definitely start working out more. January 1. Who's to say that thought wasn't put in your head? So you start going to the gym. Now you met somebody in the gym who at the end of the year is now going to do something for you that you've been trying to get done all year because you took the action when you thought about it just to go to the gym. It may not even be about working out. It may be completely related to something totally different in your life because everything leads to something.
Right.
Everything leads to something. It just may not be the goal that you immediately have in mind, but taking the action when it comes to your mind, to your spirit, is powerful because you don't know where it's leading. It may not be even for the intent that you're doing action.
Okay, so whatever you believe, right, the universe, if you will,
Right.
If that thought enters your head, like to Sam, to your point, there's a reason that you might need to act on that now.
Exactly.
Because the opportunity that action might have provided to you might not be there come January 1.
Yep.
Yeah, but why? What would stop somebody?
We're not answering Brandon's question.
Yeah, what would stop somebody
Fear.
from doing that? Yeah,
I just think it's fear. Like, I think people like to have a benchmark to do things, and January 1 just seems to be a clean benchmark, right?
Yeah.
And, so I think that's a part of it. And then we always talk about New Year resolutions or whatever. I mean,
Well, and what would stop somebody is because it's uncomfortable.
yeah.
Like working out is hard. It's not easy. Revamping your career, starting a new career, becoming more regimented in your schedule. That is hard. It's not easy. We by default we want to follow the path of least resistance as human beings, right?
Yeah.
And so
People hate change.
yeah. So, I mean, to answer your question, but my argument also as we approach this time of year and people start thinking about New Year resolutions, and I don't have statistical data to back this up, but it's my opinion, is that if it's, okay, come January 1, this is what I'm going to start doing, and we're on this workout kick, so we'll continue that. I almost think people get unhealthier between now and then. Because it's like, okay, come this date, I'm going to compensate for it.
So let me just do all this. I'm going to get it in now.
Yeah, like I'm going to let myself go for the next 5 weeks because come D-Day, I'm going to get back in shape. And so it's almost like worse to set it that far out because to me, it mentally, it almost makes you want to like completely do the opposite. I'm not going to drink as much come January 1. So between now and then, I'm going to get it all in I can, right? I mean, that's almost how we think, I feel like.
So let me ask this question. If you really think about all the things that you wish you would have done differently, is it generally usually related to you waiting to do something? More times than not?
say that one more time.
So if you had to think about like your regrets, are most of your regrets due to something you didn't act on, or is it just because to me, when I think about
Absolutely.
anything that I regret is always about action that I didn't take. right? So if regret is directly linked to actions that I didn't take, why would I continue to live my life waiting around to act?
Hey, so look, I found a acronym for fear. And it was positioned, it said the fear of, and then it had the fear acronym. So the fear of failure, expectation, ability, and regret was the acronym.
Yeah.
So it's like you have that fear that you're going to end up failing anyway. So, so I'm not going to press the issue to go fail. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then the expectations, like whatever you built up in your head, it starts becoming a mountain, as you get closer to having to actually act on it. And then the ability thing, like I'm thinking about working out. Like working out, people think, it is hard work. You know what I mean? And some people feel like they can't, I can't do that. I can't lift that. I can't run that long, that long, whatever. And you don't want to put yourself in position to have regret. So you're like, you're putting this time off really for you to, decide not to do it come January.
But yeah, you're trying to avoid regret about failing, but then you end up regretting not acting.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying sometimes they try to position themselves to not have regret. So they say,
Just to get regret. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, we can justify anything.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we're masters at that.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Definitely.
I have a friend of mine who says all the time, fail forward.
Oh, I'm that friend.
I'm about to say we clearly just said that like two
It was you. No, it wasn't
minutes,
you.
2 minutes ago, I just said about fail forward.
It wasn't you. He
You don't
actually
realize
wrote
this. Brandon just made $2 because you said it.
Yeah, right. I think he wrote a book, and I think it was called Fail Forward. Hopefully, we'll get him on the podcast as well one day.
I am on the podcast
Every
week. That's funny. What happened to your friend?
Nothing. He recently wrote a book, and he was also a personal trainer. So
we need content. We need content on the book, Franz. Okay,
I honestly, I haven't read the book.
Oh, so how you gonna mention the book?
Read the book. Sorry, I haven't read the book. But
he didn't read your book, Brandon.
I didn't read your book, Brandon. But again, he's one of those very focused, motivational guys, and kind of like you, Brandon and Sam, what you were saying as far as failing forward. Like that's his motto. Like just keep going forward. You're gonna fail, it's okay, but just keep going forward, and you'll eventually get it right. Mm-hmm. Yes, you guys said that.
You just get here?
Yeah, I just got here. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so all that fear in that acronym, the root of it is self-doubt, right?
Oh, wow.
The root of it is you just doubting yourself to complete it or whatever. I forgot what I was listening to. I wish I had a credit to give, but the guy said, you don't have to remove self-doubt before you start. It naturally removes itself when you start.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like that's the real hurdle that we're jumping over is doubting ourselves, and then we'll put it off to this imaginary D-Day to ultimately give up before then or give up right after then.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, to me, the hardest part of anything is just starting it. Yeah. I mean, and I think anybody that has started anything will tell you that it probably wasn't near as difficult as what
it's never.
Yeah. You know.
And I to that point that you just said, Brandon, I think sometimes people don't do something because they think about all the things that they have to give up or what they can't do, what they don't do, what they won't do. But what you don't realize is that when you take the actions that you should do, you literally don't have room for the stuff that you don't need to do. You know what I mean? Like, I say this a lot to people, some of my church groups or whatever, is that when you fill up your time with things you should be doing, you literally don't have time for the things you should. You know, so a lot of times instead of thinking about all the things that I can't do or I won't be able to do or that I need to change, if you just literally like you said, start the action of the correct thing, you're taking away at least one thing that you shouldn't, because you're just filling it up with space on positivity. You don't even have time to think about the things you got to change because they're constantly changing through one act.
But you do need to be like conscious of, the temptations that do distract you from getting to whatever the goal is. I know you naturally do it by starting, but you should still be conscious of, those things. Like if you're trying to get in shape, don't have bags of chips everywhere and ding dongs and daggone what are the moon pies everywhere.
So check this out, right? So if you're going to the gym, so y'all don't see us on video, but I'm the biggest one in the room.
You sound like it. That voice.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I'm the biggest one in the room, right? But I've actually had every body type. I've been in shape. I've been kind of skinny. I've been big like I am. I've been kind of gel big. You know what I mean? That's just strong with no abs. So, but every part of that like was because I feel something. So like when I was really getting in shape, I did never start it because I never wanted to eat right. I was like, man, I got to do all this other stuff to eat right. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I just started working out. And when I started working out to the way that I wanted, I didn't eat bad because I knew I would be destroying the hard work that I did. You see what I'm saying? Like you literally don't feel like that one act of just going forward, it just took away like 3-4 other things. And I think sometimes it's just so powerful to just act on one thing. And I get what you're saying. You do have to be conscious of temptations. You have to be conscious of, the things you should stay away from. But, like partying and drinking, that's not conducive to getting in shape, right? But usually when you're working out for real and you really getting at it, you sleep. You're tired. You don't have time. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I'm big on taking the step.
Yeah.
Well, and my thing is, 3 weeks ago we talked about decluttering your mind and the cognitive real estate that gets taken up. If you're thinking about all these things that you want to do at the first of the year, look at the amount of space that those things are taking up for the next 5 weeks in your head. So, my goodness, start on today. Today. Make the whatever decisions you got to make it today.
Today. Y'all supposed to say today, right?
Oh yeah, today.
Yeah,
today.
You know what I'm gonna say to that? I'm gonna say today.
Today.
Now,
Today.
You got something?
Yeah, I do. So the same guy that I'm not giving credit to also said if you don't obsess about what you're overthinking, you're going to keep thinking. So it's like taking that action, obsess over what you're overthinking about so you can take action. If you don't, and it's still just one of these things that's taking up that real estate in your mind, it's just going to stay there and keep taking up that real estate.
Yep.
So in other words, clear your mind and do something today.
Today.
And here's the thing.
How about today?
Don't miss Harris. Enjoy this time with your family.
Absolutely.
I know all of us in this room have been blessed, and I'm looking forward to a great holiday season. But don't let it set you back for 2022. Make it a great week.
If you got 1% of value from this podcast, do us a favor. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell your friend, tell your coworker. Until we meet again. Lead one.